guys, fire our shit!
Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the garage. Update 5.5 has brought a lot of changes to the game, and one of them that I'm particularly happy about is the VK 100.01P. If you don't know, the P stands for Porsche, as in Dr. Ferdinand Porsche. When I first saw this in the tech tree sitting at Tier VIII, I thought someone at Wargaming had somehow made a royal screw-up, but as I played it more, I find it to fit in at Tier VIII, actually. People in Tier 7s are not happy about running into them so far, but I think that once people get used to these tanks, they won't be so intimidated by them and will be shooting for the weak spots more accurately, using better strategy to take them down with teamwork. It'll all be just fine, you'll see. So let's talk about the gun, the armor, and the mobility, and then we'll talk about viable ways to play this tank. Top gun on the VK is the 128mm L50A. This is quite a weapon. As I have the tank configured, we can manage 4.14 rounds per minute rate of fire. Not bad for a gun this size, but not out the window crazy either. 220mm of average penetration with the regular armor piercing is also good, but not out of line. Sometimes you gotta load the spicy ammo, because sometimes only spicy ammo will do. If you do, you will be rewarded with 260mm of average penetration. Now this is getting pretty good. That's more than enough to see you be successful in your shooting. Average damage of 460 hit points is what makes people sit up and pay attention though. That really hurts. Dispersion of 0.385 and an aim time of 4.1 seconds, again as I have the tank configured, is also in line and suited to its role as a brawler. More on that. Hull armor is rated at 200mm frontal, 130mm sides, and 120mm rear. Turret armor is even better. 230mm frontal, 160mm sides, and 140mm rear. Now the key to success both as the driver and as an opponent is understanding not only the armor thicknesses, but also how it's laid out. What are the best defensive angles and where are the weak spots? Best to answer these questions, let's open up Armor Inspector and have a good look here. So as you can see, this is a pretty intimidating view to be faced with. We've loaded up the Tiger II with the 105mm L68 with regular AP as a reference opponent here. Not much to shoot at, not much but a small portion of the commander's cupola and the lower plate. Now it's not that these areas were neglected by the design engineers. The lower plate is 120mm thick. It's pretty beefy, and the cupola shows us 208mm thick. Just enough to give you hope. Now as we rotate the tank here, things start to change a little bit, but not much. Seen here at 29 degrees rotation, the hull is still looking good, but the turret is starting to show better options for shooting. The key here for the VK driver is to keep that turret pointed in the general direction of your attacker, minimize these pennable areas. If the Tiger II driver does manage to get around the side of the VK, things look much better, with all exposed hull surfaces showing as pennable. Now I say exposed hull surfaces because there are significant amounts of spaced armor on the vehicle, which are not only providing enough meat to stop regular AP when angled properly, but they are also going to eat up your HE and heat ammo really nicely. This shows a 100mm spaced armor skirting, and when you look at it with the tracks, well, good luck with your HE and heat rounds there. Even if you make it past this, you still have to deal with an additional 100mm of hull armor. Interestingly, the VK has a large turret ring area that does present as pennable at certain angles, but if you're getting that far around, you might as well shoot at larger pennable areas. Still, it's an option on a tank that is a pretty tough nut to crack for sure. Mobility, as it is with so many German heavies, is the only drawback to this tank, and then, you know what, not so bad. As I have the tank configured, the 1320 horsepower engine gets the tank up to 20 kilometers per hour pretty quick, but no further. That's top end right there, and admittedly that is pretty slow. You and the Black Prince could have drag races and never know who is going to win. Hull traverse 31.49 degrees is really not bad at all for a giant heavy tank. It's quite workable in my experience, and the turret traverse speed, while not as good at 21.59 degrees, it's still workable, allowing you to angle that turret just enough to get a bounce, hopefully. From the driver's point of view, you need to keep people off your flanks, or they will likely get penetrating shots into you. The armor scheme does provide quite a bit of flexibility on what angle you present to your enemy and remain effectively protected. More important is to point your gun in the general direction of potential shooters to keep a bounce angle presented to them. The hull is more forgiving, but still needs to angle. From the VK's opponent's point of view, teamwork in taking down this monster is key to saving hit points for later encounters. The VK driver can't protect all flanks all the time, so the faster tanks need to get around to areas where they can pen and take those shots. As VK driver, your role is to get up front and become the center of attention. You have the armor to withstand the enemy's attack and a good health pool, nearly 1,500 hit points. That big gun also makes them timid in their approach, so you can occupy a corner and side scrape and keep that position quite a long time. Hopefully your teammates are of a high enough skill level and understanding to take advantage of the enemy team's preoccupation and get flanking shots in. If they support you in this manner, the enemy will collapse in perforated disarray every time. Well folks, there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. And if you really enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments. As well, be sure to visit my social media pages, both on Facebook and Twitter. This is where I post info that, well, not belonging in a video, it's worth taking a look at. Now, a lot of you have been very generous with donations, becoming patrons, or donating during the live streams, or sending in your replays so I can commentate and put them up for others to enjoy. But it's also very helpful just watching the vids, liking and subscribing. So I just wanted to make sure that those of you who support in that manner know that I really appreciate what you're doing as well. Thank you. Links to all things in the video description. Alright folks, thanks very much for stopping by and watching. I'll catch you next time.